Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, most of us fear change. We're going to be talking to the author of the best-selling book, Mentally Fit. She's going to teach us how to turn obstacles into opportunities. That's next.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
I think this is true for all of us. We fear change. We get comfortable, whether we have a good habit or a bad habit. It's more comfortable to stay in whatever habit you're in than to create new habits. That's why I invited my next guest onto the show, Meridith Elliott Powell. She's a business strategist, she's a keynote speaker, and she's the author of Mentally Fit. Thanks for coming on the show, Meridith.
Glad to be here.
Okay, so I started the show with that idea that we all hate change, don't we? I mean, isn't it more comfortable to stay in the rut? Even if you're not happy, it's more comfortable to stay in the rut.
Yeah, it's really interesting. We have so much fear around uncertainty that the research says that you would rather be sure of all the bad things that are going to happen rather than the unknown. And you said it so well. It is the fear of the unknown, not the unknown, that really causes us all the anxiety and challenges.
And it's a mindset change, isn't it? Sometimes I use the example of if you're a child and you're playing football in the backyard, you're dreaming of that game in which you're down by 7 points in the closing seconds of the game and you win it all. And so adversity, if you use it right, can actually fuel you, can't it?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I even tell a lot of my clients to name the adversities they've faced in their life. And a lot of times they'll see they've led to their greatest opportunities. But it goes deeper than that. See, the fear of the unknown, the fear of the change or uncertainty actually shuts down the part of the brain that sparks creativity and innovation. And it is creativity and innovation that you need to thrive in an uncertain marketplace, to be resilient and mentally fit. So that's why we call it a mindset change, because if you embrace uncertainty, it will actually free up creativity and innovation and help you actually really use disruption to bring opportunity and propel growth.
So right now, as we're speaking, we're in the midst of all these government layoffs. What would you say to a government employee who's now suddenly their world was rocked? They thought they'd be a federal employee for the rest of their life. What do you say to that person?
Well, number one is that you have got to give yourself a little bit of time to deal with the shock and give yourself a little bit of time to complain about what has happened to you. And when I say a little bit of time, put a time frame on it, a couple of days, maybe a week at max. Let yourself lay into that. And then from there, you've got to cast a vision. You've got to really trust the journey and say, where do I see my life 1 year from now? And focus on that on a regular basis. And then you need to lay into your network and really trust that your greatest opportunity is out there. I don't know why things happen, but I do know if you focus on the negative, your mind will find the negative. If you focus on what you want, your mind will find a way to get there.
Absolutely. You have a beautiful website. As we scroll down the website, let's talk about the kinds of groups that are booking you these days. What's your favorite kind of audience to speak to?
Yeah, I'm doing a whole lot of corporate work right now. There is so much change in the marketplace. We're having to deal with all these geopolitical issues. They're dealing with the threat of tariffs. Will recession happen? What's happening with supply chains? And so I'm working with a lot of corporations looking to use the disruption that is happening in the marketplace to really transform their industry, believing that even though some of this disruption doesn't look like it would propel growth, speaking and using my proven formula to help them do just that.
Okay, I don't want you to give away the trade secret because people have to hire you or buy your book, but give us a hint. What are some of the secrets?
Yeah, so number one is I already hinted to, is that you've got to cast a vision. Probably one of the most remarkable things I found from the research that I did is that success isn't logical, doesn't belong to the business with the most money, the best resources, or even the most talent. It belongs to the organization who has a leader who can cast a strong vision and keep people really focused on that vision. People will push through change when they believe there is opportunity in front of them. But the second strategy is really one of my favorites, and that is to condition yourself for change. Change, Jeff, as you said, we all know change is coming. Why do we wait for it? You need to prepare and lead your team to predict the changes coming in the marketplace and use the time that we have now to get ready for it. I've got a client that is probably going to lose a lot of money with these government cutbacks. They get a lot of grants, and we just spent an hour this morning planning on what are we going to do if those cutbacks come, and why don't we diversify the revenue streams now? So give people some level of control over change.
Absolutely. You're an incredible speaker. I found one of your sizzle reels. Let's go ahead and roll that.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Meridith Elliott Powell.
It's that our lives, our businesses, our customers, they can change in a moment's notice. And you need to ask yourself, are you prepared? Are you ready for the next big change that is coming? Because you know the next big change is coming. You have a choice to make right now, and the choice is 100% yours. You can choose to do nothing, or just choose to do what you've always done, and you can hope, you can even pray that things are going to stay exactly the same. Or you can decide to use this time that you have before this change happens to put the strategies in place so that you're controlling change rather than change controlling you. I was able to discover 9 companies that have been in business since the late 1700s, early 1900s, and they are still in business, thriving today. They've come through world wars, they've come through economic depression, and they have survived not one, but 2 pandemics. And I wanted to know why. Don't you want to know why? And what I discovered from the research I did became my proven 9-step formula for thriving in uncertainty. A formula that I've promised you, if you put it into place, it is not only going to rock your business to the next level, but it is going to differentiate you in the marketplace because you are going to help your customers take their businesses to the next level.
The second she enters a stage, she captivates you and she has your attention the whole time.
It is not about standing on stage and sharing information. It is really making people shift their paradigm, but delivering it in a way that is part story, part inspiration, part motivation, and part humor. You wrap all that together, then the message will stick, and people will leave excited with a plan and ready to do what it takes to make the change that you're looking for.
The one thing we know about life, the one thing we can guarantee is change is coming. And the people who win are the people who are prepared.
Meredith, I'm blown away. And it's probably like you don't go back and watch those clips every day, so you're probably seeing that along with me. Let's talk about just that mental game, because you have a best-selling book called Mentally Fit, or Mentally Fit. Let's go ahead and put it on the screen so people can see the book cover. And the entire title is Mentally Fit, Powerfully Resilient, Competitively Strong, the 9-strategy formula for thriving in your personal life. And I noticed I highlighted the personal life. So you speak to people about mind, body, spirit. It's not just an application for work, right?
Absolutely not. In fact, when I wrote the book Thrive, I finished it and had it set to go to the publisher. And I thought, the Great Depression, world wars, they don't end at 5 o'clock. We're dealing with stress and uncertainty in our personal lives. And when an employee comes to your door, they didn't leave their personal life at home. It takes them into the office. And if we want to lead people in today's marketplace, we need to stop pampering them, and we need to start teaching them that uncertainty, change, disruption, things are going to happen. And how are you strong enough to get through them? What I wanted to do with both business and personal was solve the problem that is on people's minds today. How do I navigate so much change and uncertainty in my business and my personal life? And so I took my formula. You can use it in business, you can use it in your personal life. And I stress with leaders, look at the people who work for you as a whole. I mean, 1 in 4 people, 1 in 4 employees is experiencing stress, burnout, and overwhelm. How productive do you think they're going to be if you're not giving them a formula to navigate through it?
Let's talk about strong leaders, because I think about leaders and often they get promoted. So you might be the best salesman or saleswoman, and then suddenly you're leading a team and you might not have even read a leadership book. So what are some best practices of strong leaders, especially during times of turmoil?
Yeah, number 1 is that any strong leader needs to realize that they got the job because they did their job effectively, but that is not their role anymore. Their role is, can they do the job effectively by producing 4 or 5 people better than they are at doing the job? You've got to understand, as a leader, your number 1 job is to develop other people. That's the highest value you have to the team. I would say the second is that you need to clearly articulate a vision. That is probably more important than it has ever been. But a team cannot be effective if they do not have a vision. And when a world is moving this fast and we do not know what is happening or what is coming next, if you don't have a vision, how do we know what to do? How do we know that we want to follow you? And then the third, I would say, is that really you've got to work on engaging the team. In an uncertain marketplace, what people want is control, and you can't give them assured outcome. But what you can give them is a voice and a responsibility, is some say in what's happening to them, which feels like some level of control. And if they have a say in what's happening, they'll increase their productivity. I really believe that people want to help you be successful in your company, but as a leader, far too often you are standing in the way.
Let's talk about management styles, because I know I grew up, with the mantra, life is not a bowl of cherries, kids, suck it up. But the Gen Zs, many of them got trophies for showing up. So the baby boomer boss really has to adapt his or her management style to their team, don't they?
Yeah, I really do think, but I also think that I think work is very different than personal life. And I think what boomers need to understand is that the employee that they are inheriting is an employee that grew up with parents, coaches, people who supervise everything they did. And while they bring some incredible skills to the workplace, one skill they don't bring that often is critical thinking. And so I think rather than necessarily adjusting to them, I say more, you need to think about what skills do they lack that you're going to need them to have in order to lead. Because if you lead them exactly like they were led by their parents or their coaches, they're never going to be resilient enough to lead a company. I mean, at some point, they're going to need to make decisions on their own. At some point, they're going to have to not work a flex schedule. At some point, they're going to have to take ownership and responsibility for every decision that's made. So I don't think so much about adjusting my style. I need to think about what do they need to learn and what can I as a leader teach them, because my job is to get them ready to lead the company.
Meredith, is it possible to trick your brain so that change becomes something that's exciting and new and something you look forward to?
Yeah, I think so. If I'm home right now in my house in Asheville, North Carolina, and if you got up with me in the morning, you would see that the very first thing I do is I pull out a note card here in my desk drawer and I read my vision, where I want my life, my health, my finances, my relationships 1 year from now. I read it at lunchtime. I read it again before I close my office down at night. And the reason I do that is because I am training my brain to believe in the positive. Jeff, one of the funny things about uncertainty is that our brain is wired to protect us against it. I mean, it doesn't like change because our brain is trying to protect us. And to lean into uncertainty, you have to get comfortable with the unknown. And the best way to quote unquote trick your brain is to focus on what you can control and forget about the rest. That's why I say having a vision, allowing yourself to really vent everything that you're worried about, but dividing it into two piles. What can I control and what can I control? And if you focus on what you can control, keep your mind focused there, you'll start to get excited about change and uncertainty because you'll start to see positive results.
Okay, Meredith, we only have a couple minutes left. I'm sure there's people watching this show that are saying, man, I need to book her for my next convention. Talk to the business leader who's out there saying, what would it be like to bring Meredith in? I'm sure you tailor your presentation to the organization.
Yeah, I absolutely tailor my presentation to the organization. But what is it like to bring me in? Jeff, I feel like I'm so different than the typical motivational speaker because while I am fun and I am entertaining, that is not my purpose. I am on a mission in life to help people learn to believe that uncertainty can be your greatest competitive advantage. Our world is moving faster than it has ever moved, and that does not look like it is going to slow down. So when you bring me in, we're going to have fun, we're going to be engaging, we're going to be entertaining, but your team is going to leave with a proven formula, a set of strategies that they know exactly what to do when disruption shows up in the marketplace. And I'm going to motivate them to do the impossible. That is to take action.
Outstanding. I can see why you're so wildly successful. We're going to end with her website, which is valuespeaker.com, the great Meridith Elliott Powell. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you.
You bet. That's it for now. We'll see you next time.